Sequencing. This is my favorite photo, and so I'm going to put it first.
I really think the study of sequence is the study of function. Function meaning
This is Office Hours with Reuben Radding. This is a series where one photographer goes one-on-one with Reuben to see if they can really get to some substance when it comes to the issues and obstacles that they're facing with their photography. In this episode, he's joined by Marshall, a photographer who actually took Reuben's 6-week workshop where he was able to identify the strengths as well as the limitations when it came to his own photography. In this video, we check in and we talk through any new obstacles that have come up, like complexity versus simplicity in photos, and also how and when to approach sequencing. So let's get into it.
So it's great to have you here. Usually when we've done these kind of things, it's with people that I don't know already. And I met you recently through you being in one of my workshops. And
Yes.
It's great to see you again.
Nice to meet you in person.
Yeah, first
absolutely.
time in real life instead of on Zoom. But that was such a short time ago. How have things been going?
They have been going well. I feel like I had a lot of momentum coming out of the workshop and was just like shooting a ton. Also had a couple months of summer left, so lots of discretionary time to go out and shoot. Any
Problems, things that are issues that you want to talk about?
So I've identified a couple of problems that are sort of like tangentially related to some stuff we talked about in the workshop. Mm-hmm. I've found myself getting in the habit of seeking these like single subject shots and not having much that is more sort of zoomed out, more layered and complex with a lot of different moving parts in the frame. Mm-hmm. I find that there's like a gravitational pull towards me, I think partly because of the photography that inspires me and partly because of what's become habit, towards seeking out something weird, bizarre, compelling, but a single subject, trying to get close to that. Taking a photo and everything else in the frame is sort of secondary. Mm-hmm. And so I guess what that looks like is wanting to figure out how I can like diversify my shooting a little bit more and zoom out a little bit and try to introduce a little bit more complexity into some of my work.
First of all, I don't think you have to stop being triggered by those things that you spot that are, a single individual or person, but it brings up two questions. One is, can you take a moment after you've had that recognition of like, that's one of the things I would want, and quickly look around and see what could I pair it with, or, what could I juxtapose it with to make it more than just, here's this cool thing I saw. Sometimes there isn't necessarily going to be something else there for you to juxtapose your thing of interest with. So what can you do with your actions and your way of approaching things that will justify having just the one cool thing in the picture? In that case, it may have nothing to do with zooming out. It may have nothing to do with getting wider. It may have more to do with getting in deeper and being even a little bolder. And you're not a shy sort of type either. So, there's always further to take things.
And it reminds me of the idea that we talked about in the workshop, the Winogrand quote that like a photograph should be more interesting or beautiful than the thing being photographed.
Yeah, it's more interesting.
Yeah, and I think at times I struggle to figure out how to do that. Like I understand
we
that.
all do.
Yeah, yeah.
That's our constant challenge.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we're just replicating, or think we're just replicating the world, we're just recording, right? And we have millions of people now doing that. With their phones and graduating to cameras and stuff. And their orientation to things is, cool thing I like.
Yeah.
Shoot, and just make sure it's somewhere inside the rectangle. And that's all well and good, but then there comes the possibility of growth, which a lot of them are not necessarily doing in an intentional sort of way.
Yeah.
And then the other problem is, as you start taking photos that are more complex, there's a lot more ways they can go wrong.
Yeah.
Right, and we saw plenty of that in the workshop,
Exactly.
right? Whether it was your pictures or mine or someone else's, when you only have a couple of things in the picture, you only have a few ways that could be messed with. And then with more, you have, more ways that things could fail. One thing could, rob the energy out of a photo, or it could, kind of ruin the whole feeling of the intention. But when you talk about how to make things more interesting, you mentioned technique things like layers and all that. All of a sudden, in the last year, everyone that I work with is talking about layers. It's like somebody, shot off a starting gun and said, "We're all into layers now."
Yeah.
But the thing is, like layers, much like things like reflections or silhouettes or whatever kind of like photographic idea like that, in and of itself doesn't make a great photo, right? It's just an idea you can have in a photo. Having that without some really interesting content or some other idea in the photo that does something is going to be, kind of immaterial.
Yeah.
Number one, I would say to start looking for other things in the environment when you see that one thing, but also to look at the ways that you have been approaching things and see how you can shake that up, because all of us tend to have certain habits, especially if we found something that works for us, right? You get some good photos doing things a certain way, and that's like, well, I'm going to keep doing that, right?
Yeah.
And then guess what happens? After a while, growth seems to stop, right? And I don't know about you, but for me, like if I feel like I'm growing, then I'm happy even if I'm not getting great pictures. And if I feel like I'm not growing, nothing's going to make me happy, even a pretty good picture.
So what I'm hearing is zooming out isn't necessarily the best way to think about it. It's just looking around and seeing how can I maybe change the way I'm looking at this and see what else is there.
Like painters have it so easy because they'll only put stuff in the picture that they want. They wouldn't put in like, somebody crossing behind someone in an environment unless they wanted them there. And we end up accepting some of those things because like, well, that's what was there.
Sure.
You have a camera. I don't get to design the world. I have to take what's there. But we do have choices we can make to, wait another second for the thing to pass or wait another second for space to get filled.
So maybe having a little bit more patience and being willing to like risk losing whatever it is that initially drew me in at first.
Well, guess what? You don't have to choose between those. You can take that first photo that would have been the same thing you're already getting and then take a few more.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably the better advice.
Yeah.
It's funny to me how often we see these kinds of things as these like either or choices.
Yeah.
Let's look at pictures because I always feel like it's better to get to the concrete, abstract ideas.
Sort of segues into the second thing that I identified that I wanted to talk about, which is sequencing.
Oh.
The only medium I have for posting my work is Instagram. So I'm either posting a single picture that I like or a couple that like sort of obviously go together.
Mm-hmm. It's hard because it's different every time unless you have the same objectives every time, which you won't. Yeah.
And I think that's what I find so daunting about it is that the possibilities seem endless and there isn't sort of a checklist, right?
Yeah. As always, the good news and the bad news are the same news.
Yeah.
It's limitless and oh damn, it's limitless.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at?
So there's a couple things. One, and this is still like a little bit abstract and not as specific to these, but one part of it is predicated on how many photos you're going to use for any given sequence, right?
Right, that's important because that's going to really dictate a lot of possibilities and needs. And what I was thinking about this earlier, I see photography as this reductive medium, right? You have this great big world, we make this little sliver of it, reduce it to 2D from 3D, take away sounds and smells and all that other stuff. It's this big reduction of reality. And when you're making things out of the photos, it's really good to operate from the same kind of principle. So it's good to start with way more photos than you need and then whittle them down to what's really essential.
Yeah.
But that presupposes the size of the container.
Yeah.
Is that an exhibition with 60 photos in it? Is it a photo book with 100 photos in it? Is it a zine with 26 photos in it? Because what a lot of people do is they think of it in terms of adding like, well, I don't have enough photos yet for the thing, right? And so you add until you have enough. Let's say you think you're doing 36 photos for zine or something, right?
Yeah.
So I need 36 bangers, and you keep taking until you have that. But I found that because of the same things we just mentioned about the way your vision of things will change once you start sequencing,
Yep.
it's really good to not be so married to a specific list of pictures that you couldn't change that if you need to. You know, you need to be able to throw out any one of these if it's going to interrupt what you started building. Were you thinking of this as a sequence?
Yeah, potentially.
Okay. So are we reading across? Is that the way you saw it?
So one of my questions is one of my preconceptions about when I'm thinking about a sequence is this is my favorite photo, and so I'm going to put it first. Which I gather is maybe not the best approach.
I mean, it really depends on what else is in the sequence.
Yeah.
You know, my book, I feel like probably the best photo I've ever taken is the first photo in the book, but it's also a photo that lends itself very well to being a first photo. It's a photo that indicates a sort of entering into something, right? And so that felt very appropriate. This is your favorite, or?
So it's sort of a tier system we've got here, which is my approach to sequencing, right? It's like favorites, then these, and then
okay.
these.
So this isn't really a sequence.
No.
It's a hierarchy.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That's very different. So
yes.
if you were thinking, okay, well, we're going to do a sequence, what would you imagine putting first?
One of these two. For sort of different reasons. Well, maybe not different reasons. Simply put, they're two of my favorites of this set. And I also feel like they both have potentially more of a hook than a lot of these other ones.
Well, how about instead of thinking of it as favorites, think about like what the impact of them is,
Yeah.
and what they seem to offer in terms of functions. Because that's what. So here's the thing about sequence. I learned it all from record albums. I grew up on LPs,
Yeah.
and my friends and I, we studied LPs like they were religious artifacts. So for me, I became super fascinated with the sequencing of songs on a two-sided LP. A two-sided LP as a container, much like we're talking about with photographs being in books or on a wall or whatever, the container of the two-sided LP makes certain functional positions exist. So the lead-off track, that's the first thing you're going to hear. You know, I had all these questions in my mind about, well, what about first tracks on side B? What makes a great lead-off track on side B? What makes a great second track on side A? Like all of these positions in the structure felt really specific, and yet what made a good song to have in any one of those positions was totally different on different albums.
Yeah.
Right? So in a way, I didn't realize it until decades later, I was studying function. So when I look at these, immediately my feeling is I want to see what this looks like as a functional sequence. This feels like it could be, sort of our introduction of like, oh, we're dealing in a world that this is an entry into. Something dramatic, but past, it's over. So I got interested in that as a potential beginning. And then this to let you know, oh no, but it's a lot more than just this highway, and there's human stuff going on. But I don't know whether that's ideal for second or not. So yeah, I don't know. And then I think it's too soon to have the fight. It's too soon. It's like putting us back in the drama here right away.
So relative to this opener?
Yeah, if we're sticking with that as an opener, then that would be my feeling. I would want to save this for later. So what have we got? We've got like the unpeopled intro sort of function. We've got this that's sort of bringing us into our world a little. And then feels like it would be nice to have something that's a little less close in, a little bit more back, but not repeating anything about this idea. So maybe I could even see maybe that, or maybe even this. I mean, I think you get the idea. It's like, I'm immediately looking at things in terms of function. So now I'm also, all of a sudden I'm starting to think about how's this ending,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't want things to just lose energy throughout a sequence. You want there to be some sort of arc to it, rise and fall.
Yeah.
I feel like another thing that happens with sequencing is finding you'll have certain things that feel like a little bit of a repeat of each other. Like I wouldn't want to ever put these next to each other.
Yeah.
Because I want to not be, connecting them too much and feeling like they're the same idea or anything.
These maybe.
Right. Too many photographers look at things the same way that this picture happened, where you think like, oh, here's a thing and another thing that's alike. I'll just put them together and then look, I figured it out.
Yeah.
But you do that and it just ends up looking really silly later. I really think the study of sequence is the study of function. I've been trying to write about this recently, and it's I think that's the answer with this kind of stuff.
And so when you say function, how would you articulate what you mean by that?
Function meaning like I used that word introduction. So that's a functional role, right?
Yeah.
Let's say we liked this photo a lot more than we do, and it's a little bit quieter than some others. We could call that sort of the break in the action or intensity, right?
Yeah.
That would be another
So
functional
basically
role.
making it so each photo is contributing to the whole rather than just these are my favorites and then these are some less favorites.
Boy, I didn't know we were going to be talking about this, but this is great. So functional roles are created also by the larger structure, the larger container. So like what I was saying about the LP that has these spots, there's the opening, just at the most basic level, the opening of the whole thing, the end of side A where you got to flip the record, the first thing on side B, that's a functional spot, and the end.
Yeah.
Right? That's the most obvious.
Yeah.
And then there's all the points in between that, which then get, their own little functional roles.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I mean.
Okay. That
know?
makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Like I feel like the deeper you get into that, you start thinking of these sort of like shadow functions. Like to me, the thing that comes right before the end is a thing I'm fascinated with. What sets up that ending just right?
Yeah.
It could be totally opposite things in different sequences of different photos.
Yeah.
It's not about what is the thing. It's not like there's a correct thing to always put next to last.
Yeah.
Or next after first. It's like going to be different each time, but it's a function that I feel. You know what I mean?
I do.
It's like I know what's coming and I want to set it up and I want to telegraph it and I want it to feel like it grew out of what came before very naturally and all that.
Well, it makes me wonder, like, should I be spending more, in order to think more about this, should I be spending more time just looking at my photos and thinking about, okay, how would I put these together? How would I put these together?
I think in the absence of the idea of a specific container, it's then you're just playing with juxtapositions of a few photos, right?
Yeah.
You can do that on Instagram, like you were talking
Sure.
about. You make a carousel of 10 photos, you can experiment, and it's a totally worthwhile experiment. I don't think you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But to sit around and look at your photos and go like, oh, what kind of order would I put these in? It's like, it kind of doesn't matter until there's a container, an idea of what's the presentation going to be. And what you should be doing right now is shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and growing your understanding of what your work is.
Yeah.
The more you grow your understanding of what your work is, all of these other decisions become a lot easier. Because now, just the same way that we talk about everything's micro has a macro that is completely the same. So as you're looking at the photos and trying to see yourself in them, then all your decisions become easier later because all of your decisions have to support your feeling about what your work is. 6 months from now, you might look at these same pictures again and go, I mean, this is a fun picture, but this has nothing to do with what I'm feeling about what I do. Those feelings are so much more important than our analytical or careerist ideas or comparisons we make to other people's work. It's more about who the hell are you and what are you externalizing with these pictures? You're not a documentarian. You're not here trying to tell the story of any of these people in your photos. So you have total freedom to find out, hey, maybe you're really, really all about these kind of expressions of weird physicality and blemish and misshapenness and whatever. Maybe you run like hell with that.
Yeah.
And guess what? You don't have to confine yourself to that. You can still take photos of the fight. You can still take photos of the kid with their hands on their face. All of that is total fair game. You don't have to stop doing any of it. But you can start getting clearer and clearer in yourself about what it is that your work's really about to you. I hope some of that is helpful.
It is.
I feel like I kind of ranted there.
It's very helpful. It's a lot to digest. Do you feel like that idea evolves for you over time? How much does it change? How much does it evolve?
I mean, it's part of it doesn't change. You know, the part that's like some of the more basic aspects of the aesthetic that I respond to, you know, doesn't change a lot. But in a way, everything's always changing. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, while the 10 years that I was making the pictures of my book, I had a feeling that didn't change so much as grew, you know, and I felt clearer and clearer about that feeling.
Yeah.
And then it was a matter of supporting it. But by the time I started making my first very, very unsuccessful edits and sequences, that was the problem, is the feeling was clear, but the edits weren't looking like that feeling to me.
Yeah.
So the hard part is not necessarily like, you know, tracking the feeling, watching it grow or change or whatever. It's more about like, you know, staying true to that once you feel like you know what it is.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be a little beyond words and something that no one else could really understand. But some people really like having other people edit their work too. You know, you get a very different view. I mean, for me, the greatest editor I ever knew was Jeff Jacobson, who was a mentor of mine. And everyone loved working with Jeff on editing because he was so damn good at it and really understood how to make things flow from a feeling more than intellectual ideas. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, here I brought along with me my favorite book of his, Melting Point, his second book, and lo and behold, edited by Joan Lifton and Sylvia Plackey, right? As strong an editor as he was, he understood that he was not objective when it came to the possibility of his own work. You know, these are also some pretty heavy hitters. Mm-hmm. You know, Joan Lifton was the wife of Charles Harbit, a great photographer, one-time president of Magnum, and Sylvia Plackey is just a freaking amazing photographer. So, you know, these are great people to have working on this. But, you know, Jeff, it's not because he wasn't a great editor. He has photos like this, super quiet. And as soon as you explain it in words, it sounds stupid. You know, oh yeah, a classroom, some nice light, but there's this sort of apparition in the window. It doesn't sound like much, but that's a freaking great picture.
Yeah.
You know? And then you get to this, to that. Whoa. See, now that's some powerful sequencing, right? And also keep in mind that when you know what the container is, like the book, then you're also making decisions like, oh, okay, an editor might have decided we'll put this photo followed by this photo, but some people would have thought they're supposed to put them next to each other, or, you know, this one goes across one page and then this one should just go across one page. Like, just, it's also the effect of this being double trucked after seeing that. You're seeing a lot of functional decisions.
Yeah.
Man, that's a crazy picture.
Yeah.
To this.
Yeah.
Right? See the way the blue kind of carries you over? Right? Because we're seeing them in sequence. It's not the same blue, but it's sort of keeping us connected. And then what happens at the next turn? Now we do have facing photos with opposite logics of vertical expression. This one going up, this kind of, in my view, coming down, both with a sort of green hint, but totally different subject matter.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff like this with sort of like weird reflection on it, but then so reduced that it becomes a whole other thing. And here, oh. do you get there? You know,
Yeah.
this is some, you know, complicated stuff, but you could spend your life studying sequences like this and seeing different stuff in it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I hope the takeaway for you is, like I was saying, like, don't worry so much about that. At this moment, I would focus more on, like, understanding what your work is for you.
Yeah.
And that'll make all these other things clearer as far as how to approach them.
Makes sense.
They'll still be hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, then the choices won't be so arbitrary.
Yeah.
Instead of deciding, it's like when people want to, like, find a photographic style for themselves. That's why I always talk about voice rather than style, because to me, voice is something inherent in you, and that's what we'd like to make our style from, is something inherent in you. And too many people look at the idea of style and think it's about deciding something. I'll take a little of this, a little of that, you know, a little Alex Webb, a little Cartier-Bresson, a little, you know, and then that's not very genuine or unique, because anyone could do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, before we part, anything else that's like burning desire question?
No.
I really appreciate you sharing this stuff.
Of course, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me about it. This is
Pleasure.
incredibly helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
All right.
Now when they see us in the streets, all they wanna do is take pics, and I'm like, okay.